Hello there. Let's have a look at this transition that we are making from fear to love. So thank you, Trish, for your question, and you've mentioned it to me before. And we're going to actually have it as our topic of the month next month in AAA. We're going to be looking at presence and this shift that we're making from fear to love, because it's the most important thing anyway, and it's the thing that changes everything. And it is so easy to get caught up in the outside, what's happening in government, what's happening with the economic system, where there's wars in the world, where there's starving in the world, where there's people suffering in the world. It is so easy to get your focus back onto fear and then get caught up in it. And this is the transition that we're making, right? So what I feel really passionate about is that you have to change the way that you are seeing the world. And like Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it, right? So this is what I want to share with you in this video, and that we will continue to explore this next month and probably forever till we get it, this transition that we're making. So quite simply, I kind of see it like this, and it was the first automatic or the first writing that came to me, was that there is love and fear, and it is our choice of where we reside. So the first thing I want to say is that the power you have is you have the power to make a choice of where you are going to focus your attention, energy, your sense of connection, as to what experience you are going to have in the world. Now, right? And what do I mean by that? We could watch the news, we could go and talk to a whole load of people who are in fear, we could feed ourselves. If you see that you're feeding yourself with the outside world and the experiences that you're having, or on the flip, you could meditate, you could spend time in nature, you could fill yourself with the positive things that are happening in the world, you could fill yourself with love and peace and joy. Therein lies the choice. Difficulty is, much of this is being driven through what is not conscious to us. We are far more embodied and caught up in fear than at the moment than we are aligned with love. And that's where we're on this kind of, I see it like having 2 feet in 2 worlds. So as you begin to invite love, as you begin to experience that, as you begin to have those moments of absolute peace, as you begin to experience that which is invisible, and that's where the dichotomy is, right? That's where the challenge is, because what we're talking about here is invisible. And we are so invested in the material world that we really believe that that is where it's at. We really believe that this physical earth, we look at it, there's a problem out there, and I need to solve it out there. And what I want to tell you is you don't need to solve it out there. Problem is in the mind itself. So if you see, like, the outside world is the end result, it's like the movie, and the projector is the mind, or this unconscious invisible stuff, the thoughts we have, the ideas we have, the things we collectively believe. And yesterday, interestingly, I was thinking about the fabric of society. I was thinking about shaking the very fabric of society, in fact, was the thought that popped into my head. And it got me pondering, like, what is the fabric of society? It's not a tangible thing, is it? It's ideas, it's beliefs. They are these intangible things which we collectively agree upon, and they form and shape the physical world. Do you get it? So the transition to be made is the transition in the invisible space. And if we are going to say, oh, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? Let's face it, that is trotted out all the way through spirituality and all of that. Now the question is, do you know that? Do you really know that? Or is it just this kind of nice idea? Because where you have to fall into is you have to fall into that deep chasm of wisdom which exists inside of you. And it is not bound by your logic. And where we teeter on this brink is because we have been so invested in logic and intellect, science, right? So we're so invested there that intuition that you have all the time you're overriding it with your logic because you are choosing to place more importance on that, you believe it more, you feel safer there than you do resting into that deep sense inside of you. And then those little moments where you have that deep experience of something greater, and it is so real and undeniable, and for a moment you're in profound peace and joy and bliss because you feel it, you're experiencing it, you're experiencing that which is invisible in your physical form. And so the transition to make is that we experience that more, we become to rely on it more, we trust it more than we do the outside. And that I really have this kind of like, you have to turn the world upside down. You have to flip the whole thing on its head and say, this is starting with spirit, with source. That is where the experience comes from. And that loving presence is greater than any fear that exists here on earth.